When I watch Arsenal play right now, they depend solely on corner kicks. You have spent almost $1 billion, Mikel Arteta, almost $1 billion, and you're telling me the only way you can win games is through corner kicks? You look at the corner kicks, the holding players.
Do you think the players enjoy it?
Illegal. The creativity that they have, the potentials that they have, it's all gone out of the window. We don't see them anymore because they depend solely on corner kicks.
If they win it, will you recognise Arsenal as Premier League champions?
No, I wouldn't, because for me, they've cheated their way to winning the Premier League. It's illegal the way they win in games. It's illegal. We don't want to see that in the game. I think 13 games this season, when they haven't scored set pieces, they won 3 of those games. It shows you how much they depend solely on corner kicks.
Yeah, good to be back talking football. And straight up, let's just kick into it. This past 2 weeks, recently, ex-footballers and ex-footballers come pundits have just been, running this agenda. Well, I say it's an agenda, or just running the narrative of how poor the season has been. The football is not exciting. Clubs in the EPL depending on corner kicks and set pieces to score goals. I don't want to mention any name, but I know they have just been on that bandwagon of saying football is not interesting anymore. Football is not enticing. Football is not what it used to be. And the season has been poor, despite the fact that the EPL teams have 6. Is it 6? Yeah, 6 teams. No, 5. Sorry, 5. Sorry, correct me if I'm wrong. At least they have Arsenal, Man City. Yeah, 6 teams in the Champions League. Yeah, in the round of 16. Despite the fact that 4 got beat yesterday. Yeah, 4 got beat yesterday. None won. 2 drew. True. 2 drew their games. Newcastle drew.
Newcastle drew. Arsenal drew.
Chelsea lost.
Yeah, Chelsea lost.
Man City lost. Liverpool lost.
Yeah, that's 2 drew. Yeah.
Tottenham.
I saw the goal
Tottenham
difference.
lost.
So 16 goals conceded by all English teams. 6 goals scored. Very, very sad.
Yeah, but the narrative has been there and it's been put out. Recently, we saw the ex-Chelsea footballer. I'm going to call him a legend. Mikel Obi, berating.
He's a legend.
Yeah, berating Arsenal. He was really, really going gung-ho on Arsenal, talking about. And I thought those words were very strong, saying Arsenal cheated, or they've cheated their way in the league. I don't know if he's going to get any form of litigation from Arsenal. But in my own personal opinion, those words are very, very strong. But I just want to hear your take, guys. Do you think this season has been really poor in terms of what this ex-footballers / pundits have been saying recently? Yola, you want to go first?
Yeah, I think it's difficult to conclude that it's been a poor season. Rather, let me say, I wouldn't conclude that it's been a poor season. I think that a lot has been taken into, I'll say the results, the Champions League results has put the Premier League teams into some sort of light. But if we look at all the teams that played, right, I think you can argue that Chelsea may be out, Man City may be out, Tottenham may be out, but Newcastle are still in it, Liverpool are still in it, even if they lost. Arsenal are still in it, very much so. So I think in that regard, it hasn't really been a poor season for English teams. When you look at the performances of the teams in the league, 2 teams are in title contention, right? You have 4 teams trying to finish in the top 5, and then you've got the rest of the pack. And I think it's quite competitive. Even the relegation scrap, yes, remove Wolves and take out is it Burnley? Yeah, take out Burnley, take out Wolves.
Yeah,
you can't say the team that is going to get relegated, right? So even Burnley at some point in time were looking like they could get back in it. So it's been very it's been a mixed bag kind of season. But I wouldn't consider it to be a poor season.
Adoka, you want to give your take?
Yeah. I mean, for me though, going by what we used to see back in the day, when we used to watch the likes of Carlos Puyo, Sergio Ramos, Iniesta, and Cano Nwankwo, Roberto Pires, the kind of football we used to see back in the day. I saw a video. I think it was Ronaldo de Lima who said that he's done watching football. He rather watch a golf game than watch football because football has become plastic. Everybody just plays a particular rhythm that works for the team. If I remember when we were kids, I used to play PlayStation. You tell your friend, "Malo cross and nod, don't use cross and nod." Obviously, cross and nod is a part of the game.
Haram.
So
Yeah.
if we're going back, yeah, they call it haram football. If that is what works for you, that is what you use to win your games. But back in the day, we see a lot of flair. But how many players really do have that flair? Except for a few players like Kvaratskhelia, there's the Real Madrid boy, Vinicius Junior. All the guys used to have that flair, but I don't know what happened to him. So for me, I think football has become a bit plastic. And for this season, I still told a colleague of mine, I said, look, let's just get done with the season already. I'm tired of the football. It is too much and it has become boring. That's the honest truth. It has really become boring.
But so if we want to balance this conversation, because we know looking at the Premier League, we could say points determines, right? Can we say points gained at the end of the season determined? My own argument here is this season hasn't been that poor, because if you look at this time last season, Liverpool game week 29-30, Liverpool were 70 points, and the point difference with the team in second position, the difference was 12. And if you look at Liverpool's points difference with the team sitting in the fourth position, which was Newcastle, as at this time last season, was 20 points difference. As at this time last season, a few teams, I can't remember the team, has been confirmed relegated as at game week 29-30. But if you look at this season, look at the points amassed by the team in the first position, 67, which is Arsenal. 3 points adrift what Liverpool had last season. And if you look at the point difference between the first position and the fourth position, which is Aston Villa, is not up to 20. I think it's 11, because it's 13 right now, but Aston Villa has a game in hand. And as at this time of the season, no team in the EPL has been deemed or confirmed relegated. So for me, the competition has risen, right? That is why you see a Manchester City looking to bolster the squad in January, had to go for the likes of Semenyo and Guehi from teams beneath them. So the competition level has risen. We saw Wolves defeating Liverpool, Wolves defeating Aston Villa, Wolves drawing the table toppers Arsenal at home 2-2. So for me, the competition has risen. So does that now mean to say, a typical example, Manchester United at this time of the season, at this time of the league last season, Manchester United was sitting in the 14th position with 34 points, 37 points, if I'm not mistaken. But look at them this season. They are sitting in the third position with how many points drift the first position. So they have also improved. So for me, that narrative or that agenda of saying the season has been poor, I don't really buy it, in my own opinion. Yes, teams are looking for ways to score, because if you look at it, mid-block, low blocks is now the order of the game. Any team who wants to stifle the opposition, who doesn't want the opposition to do anything, you just see them setting up in mid-block and low blocks. And so what does it now leave to teams like Arsenal, Chelsea, Manchester City facing this low block? They have to look for alternative way to score. And that is what Arsenal has done well in the past 2-3 seasons. I didn't want to mention any name. Obiola, I don't know if you have any contrary opinion to what I just said.
I think when a lot of players have spoken about the fact that the season hasn't been good, I don't think it's about the performances. We're not talking about the points on the board right now. I think they're talking about the performance on the pitch,
The
right?
gameplay.
And you can't really, unless I'm wrong, right? I don't really watch a lot of EPL games again because but I don't know if you can point out 10 standout Premier League games that have happened across the season that have been overly entertaining, right? There's the argument that I think there are two arguments.
Liverpool, Man City. Liverpool, Man City.
Well, I mean, if you want to list 10, I don't know if you get to 10. Well,
Arsenal, Manchester United. Arsenal, Manchester United.
Yeah, go on, and then
Wolves, Liverpool.
Okay, that's 3.
Wolves, Arsenal.
What's entertaining about Wolves Arsenal? The 2-2 draw, right? Okay, fine.
It was a pulsating ending.
It was a pulsating ending, but it wasn't a great first half, right? And it's overall you can say the game wasn't great. I think another Arsenal goal, that would not have been a great game either. So the thing is, right, if you look at the overall performance of teams, right, performances of teams, I think you've seen a reduction in teams' willingness to go out and attack gung-ho, right? You've seen a reduction of flair. You've seen an increase in teams playing around the way that the coach wants them to play, very strict, very, to the book, very less open. There's less dependence on the player's individual ability, like what we used to see in 2007, 2008. And I think that's what people are complaining about. And another thing for me is a lot of players are tired, right? So you can see that a lot of players are tired. I don't have a lot of numbers, but I mean, Bodo Glimt have won their last 5 games in a row in the Champions League. Bodo Glimt are the only team that have had a winter break compared to every other team, right? And I mean, it's very interesting to also know that besides Bodo Glimt, Bayern have been exciting to watch. I'll put that out there. I think the Bundesliga generally has been exciting to watch, right? But besides that, the Premier League hasn't really been fun. Serie A has had its ins and outs. La Liga is La Liga. It's always going to be boring, so you don't even count that, But like, I watched a few Ligue 1 games this season, and my interest hasn't been piqued. I'm watching Lyon play against Marseille. It's not really giving me the joy I thought I would get. The PSG versus Marseille game was exciting, but I think generally speaking, you can tell that the players are tired and everybody's just doing what they need to do to get the result. And that's another thing, right? Everything's about money right now. Football is very, very money driven to the extent where everyone is looking and saying, the directors are looking, the owners are looking and saying, I don't care what you have to do, you can't lose this match, or I don't care what you have to do, you must finish in the top 4. So it's results first, entertainment later. And I think that's where people are struggling. But we've had too much football, right? I think we can argue we've had too much football already. By June or so, the World Cup is up. And that goes on for 2 months, and before you know it, season is starting again. There's no break. It's really unfortunate, but that's what we're dealing with right now.
I would also want to chip in on. I think the rule change as well has affected football in one way or the other. The VAR pauses. Back in the day, you strike a player down, and you already know that this is a red card. We don't need a VAR review to get a red card for these players. We used to see a lot of cheating, and players got away with a lot of things back in the day. But now the VAR checks, the long pauses, the delays, the crazy tactics, low blocks, and all of that. It has really made football. But like I said, I'm looking forward to the end of the season. And I like the fact that you pointed out that some, in quotes, key matches, some major rivalries that we used to enjoy back in the day. The El Clasico is not the El Clasico anymore. The Bundesliga clash between Dortmund and the Bayern is not what it used to be anymore. The Arsenal-Tottenham rivalry.
Yeah, but the last Clasico was fantastic.
Yeah, but it's one out of how many? Back then you always expect that it's going to be a crazy encounter between these two teams. The last London derby was boring. Yes, Arsenal defeated Tottenham Hotspur.
Was that boring? Was that boring?
It was. But take away the fact you're an Arsenal fan. It was a good victory for Arsenal, but it was a boring. not London Derby, because we didn't see the fights, we didn't see the red cards, we didn't see aggression from these players. A Man United Man City, you'd have expected a lot of chaos on the football pitch, but hey, it doesn't happen anymore. So everybody's just being careful. Let's just go by the rules because you have the next game to play, you have the next tournament to play. So football has really, as the Gen Z
So
say,
the Sunderland Newcastle game, we know that's a derby. It was
definitely. That's something
pulsating.
you can count how many derbies you find very, very interesting to watch. Unlike before, when you hear Arsenal Tottenham, you know what to expect. When you hear Manchester United, Manchester City, you know what to expect. You hear Liverpool Everton, you know what to expect. But these days, it's just there. Even PS4, if I said Street Pass Football.
Biola, Manchester United going to the Etihad, Manchester United playing Man City this season. You're not excited as a Manchester United fan watching those games? Watching these games?
I think for me, Manchester derbies have lost their flavor because I don't know whether we're going to lose today. It's about we're like the underdogs. We're Manchester City 20 years ago, which is very sad. 20, 26 years ago, which is very sad. But I think there's a lot. I agree with you that there is an overemphasis on this issue or this discussion that football has become boring. I don't think it's true.
Yeah.
But there are signs, right? There are signs to show that yes, the sport is not what we used to watch 15 years ago. When we watched Ronaldinho play, when we watched Ronaldo De Lima play, when we watched Dan play. It's not the same football. It's not the same football. There is that fact. It's there. But when people talk about the fact that football has gotten boring and all of that, I think some of these players too haven't evolved in their mindsets. In the way they watch football, in what they're trying to enjoy in football. If you're looking at football from a purely entertainment perspective, you're going to be bored 9 out of 10 matches. You're going to be bored, to be honest. If you're looking at it from a perspective of tactical clash, if you're looking at it from perspective of watching individual players, then you find a bit more entertainment there. But I can agree that 9 out of 10 times, you're not going to be as entertained as you want to be in football. And I think to buttress this point, just to wrap this up, I stopped watching Premier League games 5-6 years ago because of this issue. I felt like the Premier League was overrated. And I think, in my own opinion, I wanted to watch something less stringent, right? If you watch Bundesliga matches, as much as people say Serie A is the most tactical league in Europe, it's not as stringent as Premier League games. And I think, ironically, Premier League games have become a lot more open than they used to be when I stopped watching Premier League games, because I think the levels of teams has come closer to themselves. So you can see Bournemouth, you can see Wolves in 9 minutes drawing against Arsenal. You can see Bournemouth take on any team in the Premier League. You can't go into a Premier League game and say definitely 3 points unless you know that your team is on very good form, right? And I think that has helped to sort of open up the league a bit in terms of what you're trying to view or what you're trying to enjoy. Well, besides all of that, it's been football has really, really changed, and it's not as fun as it used to be.
Yeah, I understand. I think people would draw it back to the Pep coming into football. We could see the natural number 10s, fading away. The likes of, I was having a conversation with someone earlier today, or was it yesterday, that JJ Okocha that we cherish in this part of the world might not fit into today's style of play, because now we can see that the natural number 10 is dead. You see how Ozil faded away. You see how the Colombian guy Rodriguez faded away, and just list a few. And now you see formation tactics where you have 2 10s playing at the same time. You see a 10 having to track back to defend, and you tend to ask, back then the 10 used to have freedom, used to play with so much freedom without having to bother about defending. But now we see wingers running back to defend, even the attacking midfielders also running back to defend. It's all, yes, I get that point. It's all how am I going to put it? What's the right word to use? Military, street, yeah. But it is what it is. In this era is where the likes of Pep has been termed as the GOAT, one of the GOATs of managers, right? Because of how he has won. Unfortunately, the title is the currency of football. So regardless of however you win it, it doesn't really matter. Just win it. Win it. That's what it is.